When it comes to sales and being in sales, why is it that some salespeople hate their sales managers? Important question, you gotta know. I'm Sylvan Bell. I'm coming to you live from Sacramento, California, and a perfect day to talk about sales. And a perfect day to talk about you in video number 5. Video number 5 is just, the person's just flat out evil. And there are people on this planet that have power trips. There are people on this planet that they're narcissistic, they're just evil, and occasionally they end up being a sales manager. So the question is, what do you do? How do you deal with it? Well, my first thing is I'm going to say, try to live through the challenge. Try to live through dealing with a difficult person because it makes you a better salesperson. And I know you're like, hey Scott, you've never been through that before. And I'm like, oh yes, I have. Not naming names. It's been a couple of years, but I have. And I'm going to leave some names out of it because, smart on my part. I've lived through this. And I had a lot of friends that lived through it too. And we came up with this plan that, like, you know what, we're just going to take the lumps and we're going to see what we can do to become better at what we do. Eventually, it may come down to you leaving the company. It may come down to you saying, hey, look, I'm taking my marbles and I'm going home. There are some sales managers that are out there that are just flat out evil. They're horrible people. They got a black heart. They don't care. You know, they're super difficult to deal with. They lie, they cheat, they steal. You know, they're unethical, whatever way it is. So if you've tried to make it amicable and you've tried to work things out, then it's your option to leave. Now, here's the thing. Real deal, if you've got sales skills, you can go to any field, you can go to any market, and you can say, hey, look, here's what my capabilities are. And, you know, you may start preparing and figuring out what you got to do. Now, for you, the sales presentation is really an interview process. But when you sit down to interview with a company, the roles are reversed, right? They're looking at you and they're asking all the tough questions. You should prep. You should know which questions you're going to ask. You should know what questions that they're going to ask you. You know, you should smile and nod. Like most companies are going to do some sort of Chet Holmes situation where they're going to get to the end and they're going to have a stack of paperwork, or they're going to tell you something like this. They're going to like, look, prospect. Here's the thing. I've got a whole bunch of salespeople here, you know, and some of them are good and some of them are better than you. Why should I choose you? Right? This is a sales process. And you need to know that sometimes this happens in one way or another. Chet Holmes came up with this from what I understand and from what I know. I want to give credit to the man where credit's due. Smart guy. Loved Chet Holmes when he was around. But, you know, this is the process. And this is why you should be prepared. You should be prepared for some pushback. Like, hey, I see that you think you're a sales guy, but you're not a closer. Right? Remember that sometimes in the sales process, their job is to kick you to see what kind of response you get because it's a sales call. You are going, like when you interview for a sales job, it is a sales call. I don't know how many times I interviewed people and they were late, they weren't prepared, they just kept saying, wow, that's a tough question. Like you should be able to think on your feet. Think on your feet, right? Like if you say, wow, that's a tough question a bunch of times in a job interview, it shows that you're not prepared. It shows that there could be a problem. It's not saying, hey, this is the wrong guy or the wrong girl, but it just shows that there's an issue that you really haven't dealt with and you're under pressure, you're a salesperson. Sell yourself. Find somewhere else to work. Because like there is a point where you're like, it's the Popeye moment as my mom calls it. Enough is enough, I can't stand no more, peace out, I'm gone. Okay? And that happens sometimes, it's unfortunate. But you gotta remember that when it comes down to it, sometimes like we beat up ourselves. Like you need to learn how to be less mean to yourself. But sometimes we beat up on ourselves and you're like, hey, it's my fault. Like if you've done everything possible and you've done what you can to make it work and it didn't work out, that's not really your fault. Right? When you've had your Popeye moment and you're like, I've had enough, I'm going to go somewhere else. Go somewhere else. Don't look back. Go close deals. Be a successful salesperson. There you go. So you got one thing to do from here. Just one thing. Find the subscribe button and click on it. And every time I send out a video, you'll get an update that says Scott Bell Consultant sent out a video. You should check it out as long as you click on the little bell. We'll see you soon. Thanks for dropping by. Aloha.